Well, hello there. Here are the Sunken Basin Gardens, and it's time for another harvest. The cherry tomatoes are loaded and reaching for the sky. Yep, picking tomatoes is a spectator sport, but check these out. And over here are the larger variety of tomatoes. They're growing in size, but not ripening yet. We've got the Three Sisters patch. This one was planted a couple weeks after the one in the back, which is tasseled and silked and setting ears. And underneath there are beans. And shockingly enough, today we first see this melon pop up of decent size. And of course, cherry tomatoes ripening. These little Coban peppers. We've got a few little guys set, not yet ripening, but I think it's because they're seriously shaded. Over here in the tomatillo jungle, we've already harvested some of these poblanos, but there's one. And then we've harvested a few Zia Pueblos, which are delicious, spicy peppers. And there's a couple of those. The tomatillos are finally ripening. Oh, not that one. Here's a decent one. Ooh, came off in my hand. And here I think it's Wittenberg Prescott. It's like a miniature Roma type of saladette maybe, but pasty, good, fruity, mild. And then there's a bell pepper ripening. Anaheims. We harvested a bunch of Anaheims, but we've got more on the way. Hello, Calamity. I think this bitty thing is a Serrano. It's not very happy, but it's alive. Over here is the rabbit garden. Check out that amaranth. And it's already past the full flush of the sunflowers. They're going to seed. So this is the latest project in this garden, which is what I call the filigree bed. And this is the usual technique of digging, reserving the topsoil for planting in, and using the subsoil to build these raised paths, not raised beds. Here's my stash of rabbit litter. Nasturtiums coming up for fall season. These parsnips came from the old place. I only had a few germinations and I let one go to seed. It made a giant plant, created countless seeds. I wasn't sure if they would even germinate here, but I've got a thick carpet of parsnips sprouting. Not so with the leek bed. Not a sign of any leaks. However, the spinach is rip-roaring. Time to thin out some baby greens. Next door to those. Come on, celery, we're rooting for you. Check out these radishes. Time to thin those as well. Great growth happening. And then carrots are so hard to germinate, but I think we did really well this time. And lettuce greens are starting to pop up their heads. Over here, next to the wild mallow. Aren't these mallows beautiful? If you water them, they just get fresh and bright. Anyways, these here are turnips, looking good. And Napa cabbages. So these are fall into winter plantings. I don't have a lot of time before the first frost is due. I think our first frost is due October 15th. These amaranths are making seeds now, so probably time to harvest the big ripe ones. Great animal fodder. Check out these sweet potato greens. So I'm gonna try to overwinter some of these runners so that next year I can plant them in order to get actual sweet potatoes, which I just threw the sweet potatoes that were sprouting from the old place into the center of this fertility pit for sprouting sweet potatoes. And I've just been using this as rabbit treat. Got a happy little herb garden. The sage, I think, is one of the happiest. And Thai basil, I've been cutting the flowers off of those regularly. Mint bloomed. The mint is very thirsty, so it's pretty happy being in the center of this fertility pit where everything drains down into it. A little bit of time. Hopefully that will continue to expand. I think it might be frost tolerant, hopefully. Lemongrass. Over here in this brassica bed, these are finally heading. So these are the developmentally delayed brassicas that I seeded indoors in March. They did not like spring. The kale is fine. This one and only artichoke is finally happy since monsoon season hit. And here's the native seed source variety of amaranth. Very pretty with its lime and its pink fizz. Much shorter in stature than the commercial burgundy variety. But we're very happy to propagate native seeds. Over here, these are cauliflowers, also planted or sown in cups back in March. No sign of heads yet, but this similar broccoli is forming a head. And then next to it, got some pretty nice Swiss chard. And then direct sown baby Swiss chard is starting to happen. Swiss chard is so reliable and so versatile. I added it to my big bean dish this past weekend. And then here, beets. kind of succession zone. This calendula just keeps on calenduling. But check this beet out. Time to harvest that guy. And the rosemary has been adding some delicious flavor to our meals. Right, so doing these raised paths with the sunken beds has been working wonders. I've been lining the bottom with cardboard that was underneath the rabbit cages, so it's very well charged. And then so this one here is going to be an artichoke crescent. So after I complete that little comma shape in the filigree bed, it's going to be artichoke crescent building time. Whee! And another basin is going to go right here where water likes to pool anyway, next to red raspberry, some more lemongrass, and some comfrey. Here comes the bean row, and I've harvested like a handful of beans from all the bean plants I've planted. Always thankful though. This right here is a cucumber that's smothering a bean, so I think it's finally gotten long enough that I can train it onto the fence. Oh, but yeah, check it out. Some, another handful a day adds up. And then it merges with sugar pie pumpkin land, and that is where the horse manure pile happened to take place. And I think you can tell that that has created much rampancy amongst the sugar pies. And check it out. I do not count my pumpkins before they're ripe, so that one as yet has no serial number out of 1 million, but we'll see who wins the race for number one. More beans that did not get mulched, you can tell immediately. The ones that got mulched are way happier. And then random squash and bean and radish row. Oh, check it out. We got a little something happening here. We got radishes going to seed. Look at the size that these radishes grow to. It's crazy. I've taken a few patty pans off of here. Very creamy and mild. Now this yellow thing, I don't know what it is, so I have not picked it. These cowpeas are kind of ridiculous. I've harvested a few. The tansy aster wildflower is going to seed. Such a pretty plant. Now this looks like a summer squash, but it's on more of a winter squash type of vine, so I'm kind of letting that one harden. We'll see what it turns out to be. This looks like a buttercup is forming. This right here is from Native Seeds. I think this one could be the front runner for the first of 1 million pumpkins, but not ready to stamp that number on it till it's ripe. Got some asparagus beans growing on here and there. Letting the runners run, letting the climbers climb. So that is the gardening situation. And I'm very happy to make a birth announcement. It's going on 3 weeks now. But Blue Lilac has 3 healthy babies from her very first litter, and these are purebred American blue rabbits, 3 weeks old. Good job. Blue Lilac's sister, Lily White, she's got 5. So she's got 2 blues and 3 whites. Look at this little sleepy head. It's siesta time in Nap Rabbit Land. So happy that these 2 sisters had their first litters, and we've got these beautiful baby rabbits, just about 3 weeks old. So these ones have, I think it's an 8th Champagne d'Argent, but the rest is American. This one, Foxy, she got bred. Eglantine here is expecting as well. And there's just 6 more days before we're hoping Hollyhocks here will pop out her first litter. So, rabbits and fertility, blessings. As I'm picking, I'm also pruning. And so the technique I use for this patch is I find where the fruit is setting, and then I remove everything down stem from that, because only the leaves at the top are sending food down to the fruit. Everything down below gets choked up and turns yellow like this, becomes a disease harbor. Plus, once you clear the base like this, number 1, you're chopping and dropping. Number 2, you're clearing the way to put down more rabbit mulch, which will encourage rooting further up the stems, longevity. So hopefully, even if we get early frosts, or fall coming on to first frost of October 15th, we don't have much time. I want to milk these tomatoes for all they're worth. So goodbye, yellow leaves. We're chopping you and dropping you.